or Love and Thunder. So I went into this with very tempered expectations as possible, and this is what I will say about Captain America Brave New World.
What's going on, my Epictastic Nation? Welcome back to my channel. This is Joshua Drake. I talk movies, TV, music, and anime, and welcome back if you're a returning member. If you are a new member, welcome. This is going to be my non-spoiler filled thoughts on the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe film, the 35th overall, Captain America Brave New World. This is the 4th entry into the Captain America series and a continuation of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is directed by Julius Onah, written by Rob Edwards, Malcolm Spellman, Dylan Mussel, and Jonas Onah, and Peter Glanz. And this stars Anthony Mackie, Denny Ramirez, Liv Tyler, Shira Haas, Carl Lumbly, Zachary Rossmore, Johannes Harker Johansson, Giancarlo Esposito, Tim Blake Nelson, Liv Tyler, and Harrison Ford. And this is going to be a non-spoiler filled review, so you are completely safe. I'm not going to give away any spoilers as to what goes on or what the credit scenes or such on, but there will be a few movies mentioned or something that's connected to this. Sam Wilson, aka the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident after meeting with President Thaddeus Ross. He must soon discover the reason behind the various global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. So going into the new Captain America, I was actually very excited to see Anthony Mackie in his first film as the new Captain America. I know some people were skeptical, but there were some people who were interested to see how this would turn out. And I have seen this movie now, and I'll say this, despite some worries going into it, because the MCU lately, while I've enjoyed some of the stuff, it's been a very up and down road with Phase 4 and Phase 5. You have stuff that is doing well, you have stuff that didn't do well, you have some movies I didn't really care for, then you have some movies that were just okay, then you have some movies I really like to love. Same thing with the TV shows, and some of the TV shows I didn't see. But between that, and also I love that original Captain America trilogy. I think it's one of the best superhero trilogies out there, and I really enjoyed the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which you can find my review of it on the channel before or after this is uploaded and edited. So I was really excited going into this. We were also going to have Harrison Ford taking over for Thaddeus Ross. We were also going to have Liv Tyler in this, of course, and then we were going to have some interesting stuff like Red Hulk and such. So going into this, I was looking forward to it, but there was a lot of things that was concerning as far as the production troubles, and the rumored budget was supposed to be $300 million, and plus there was a lot of reshoots that were going on here. And also in terms of that, we were also dealing with a situation where this movie had some test screenings that didn't go so well. So all of that, aside from the marketing, which I really did enjoy, but not a lot of people was enjoying, so that was a lot to really take in and go into. So that's a lot that had me concerned going into it. And also seeing a lot of mixed reactions, positive and negative, really did kind of just said, oh no, this is going to be Eternals all over again. I'm going to walk into this and I'm going to have another one of those situations like Eternals or Love and Thunder. So I went into this with very tempered expectations as possible, and this is what I will say about Captain America Brave New World. This is a perfectly adequate, right in the middle entry into the MCU. But when we compare it to the trilogy and to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this is a bit of a step down from that. I will say some of my positives first here. I will say Anthony Mackie, he is once again great as Captain America, Sam Wilson. He does get the character down. This time around, he's not a super soldier. He is pretty much taking on the role of Captain America, but even he knows he's not Steve Rogers. In this movie, he is not trying to be Steve Rogers. He does do his own version of Captain America, and I did enjoy his performance for the most part. You could tell Anthony Mackie was very enthusiastic about this. Even with a lot that was going on in this, I really thought that he wanted to bring a lot more to it. There are moments where I wish he could have a little bit more humor, like Steve Rogers did, but a more serious Captain America, but also someone who doesn't really take any sides. I did enjoy his performance once again. Harrison Ford is also great here, having to take over for Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. He's in this movie as much as you want him to be. He's not in the movie very much, but originally this was going to be William Hurt, who has played him since The Incredible Hulk, but since he passed away in 2022, Harrison Ford steps in and takes over, and I really quite enjoyed him as Thaddeus. He does a very good job as the newly elected president. You can tell him and Sam don't see eye to eye, but I think once again there are like conflicts between these two since the events of Civil War, and their dynamic has now changed considering what's going on since then. I thought he did a really good job. Even if it's a crappy movie, Harrison Ford will always commit. And that's one thing I will always give Harrison Ford, is that he will commit to his role. Danny Ramirez as the new Falcon from the TV show Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he was once again very good as well. Shira Haas, there was a lot of controversy going on with this casting and what her character is and who she's playing. But I will say that Shira Haas does a pretty good job for her first big film as an Israeli actress. Now, she's not Gal Gadot's level, and she's not one of the greatest Israeli women out there, but I will say she did fine for her character for what she's given. It's more so problems with the scripts that has its problems. Carl Lumbly returns as Isaiah Bradley. I did enjoy him. Once again, Zosco Rosemore plays the character of Leela. Giancarlo Esposito as Seth Volker. I won't spoil a lot with him, but I thought he did a very good job as well. Same as Tim Blake Nelson coming back after The Incredible Hulk as the leader, Samuel Stearns. I thought he was great. Liv Tyler. I just want to say, this is a 5-year return for her since her acting break. And I will say, Liv Tyler still is a very great actress. I never thought we would see this character again because no one really enjoys or talks about The Incredible Hulk so much aside from some fans. That movie's not one of my favorites either, but I definitely enjoyed seeing her back in the role, and I thought she did a very strong job. And I will say that she still looks attractive as Betty Ross, but she's Liv Tyler. She's always going to be attractive in generals.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Oh, come on. I'm just saying.
I get it.
No.
I get it.
I listen.
Oh my God. Try to keep up.
I can explain.
So all of the acting I think is great here. The directing for the most part is pretty competent. Julius Onah, this is a huge step up from the Cloverfield Paradox. I haven't seen The Girl in Trouble or Loose, but I will say this is a bit of a step up from the Cloverfield Paradox. The movie looks good for a $180 million budget. The cinematography by Kramer Mogadal is really good, and the editing is pretty sharp for the most part. Laura Kaufman returns to do the music after doing music for What If, Miss Marvel, and The Marvels, and I actually really like the score here. I think the score is actually pretty good here. The production design and most of the practical effects, special effects, and action scenes are very well done as well. I will say the action in this movie is competent for what you get. It's not some of the best MCU action you'll see, but it's pretty entertaining action for the most part. It's mixed in with some of the political thriller intrigues, and I will say when the movie focuses on the political intrigue and the whole situation with Captain America and Red Hulk, that was where I feel like the movie was at its most strongest. Unfortunately, this is where I have to get into my issues now. Because like I'm saying right now, I do enjoy this movie for the most part, but this is kind of disappointing and kind of just very in between. But I still enjoy it for what it was. The biggest problem I have when it comes to this movie is because they reshot this movie and restructured it. You can definitely feel where the reshoots and where the restructuring feels like, because there are some things here that doesn't make a whole lot of sense in terms of certain plot elements with Shira Haas's character, and also there's other stuff going on in with the political aspect. Like, this is only 118 minutes, and this has been my biggest problem with some of the MCU projects, is that this is a movie that is doing a lot and is trying to do a lot. One is trying to get us caught up with the Ross family after the Incredible Hulk. This is also trying to be a continuation of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but this is also trying to be much like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, except with Sam. And there's this whole thing that's going on with this whole Celestial thing, which they do reference the Eternals. That's as far as I'm gonna say. All of that, and that's as far as I'm gonna go in terms of what we're going with. But the whole problem with this movie, this is only 118 minutes, and I've said this before in my reviews of Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, and The Marvels. I'll say it again until they get this in their head. And this studio interference shit's gotta stop, man.
We live in a society of laws!
Kevin Feige, you're the mastermind behind this entire cinematic universe, and this is why some people are getting frustrated with you. Because you're not telling these directors to just go full force. I understand Eternals wasn't the best. I understand you have problems with Thor Love and Thunder. But just because something is doing something much more bigger and a lot more extreme, that doesn't mean you have to cut it down to an hour and 58 minutes. This could have easily been 2 hours and 26 minutes. It would have made this movie a lot more longer for you to do exactly what you were trying to do. Get us caught up with the Rosses. Deal with Captain America's situation. Also deal with this whole incident that's going on. Also focus on the Celestial thing. Also, you have this whole love story when it comes to the love interest, kind of, by Jacques Rossmore, which I have not seen her in anything else except this, but it kind of feels like that gets a little underdeveloped. And even some of the political intrigue, I'm enjoying a lot of what this movie is trying to offer, but like I said, if this was longer, at least like 2 hours and 16 minutes or 2 hours and 21 minutes to focus on a lot of that is why I feel like this movie struggles at its worst, because you can definitely tell the movie's been restructured and reshot, and it definitely does show, especially in the credit scene, of what's to come, which we already know what's to come. But that doesn't mean you have to just freaking stick on just what's to come. This is the first Captain America movie in almost damn near 10 years. This is year 9 since Captain America Civil War is coming out this summer. And I feel like they could have done a lot more to make this a lot more warranted. Now, 118 minutes is fine. It gets you in and out, but you need it to be a lot more longer. So another one of the criticisms is the script, with the pacing, of course, in the script. That is where I feel like we should have really just taken the time to actually do that and make it a lot more interesting. And that is why I feel like you could have just enjoyed it, where it made this movie a lot better. Because, like I said, 118 minutes is good enough, but because of a lot of what you're trying to do, it needed to be a lot longer than what it actually is. That the scripts here, like I said, you can definitely feel like there's rewrites here, which is the same thing as the pacing, so I'm not really going to go deep into that without spoilers, because it's pretty much just me echoing my problems with pacing. Also, this movie has some very iffy CG effects, especially you can tell from the reshoots. Now, is it as bad as some of the effects in the 2017 Justice League? Is it as bad as some of the effects in Dark Phoenix? No, but it's like for $180 million, I appreciate the attempt of you scaling back and trying to do as much practical as possible, even with you filming during the Rise of After Strike and the reshoots, but you could have just fixed some of that up a little bit. Now, some of the effects do look good in terms of the practicality and the explosions and the special effects, and even Red Hulk actually looks pretty competent. But there are some CGI effects that, yeah, I look at, you could have done better. Could have been a lot better. But also, the main overarching issue is that for a Captain America sequel, I do feel like he kind of gets a little shafted in his fourth movie a bit. And I am frustrated with this movie. It sounds like I hate the movie, but I really am not. It's just, like I say, if there's going to be more Captain America in the future, especially after what's to come with Avengers 5 and 6, which I am pretty terrified with those two, because you're doing those without a complete script, but I hope there could be something at least competent coming out of it. We won't know until we start seeing a lot of stuff. I feel like Captain America, he is front and center in the movie. I just feel like the Captain America side, which is some of the more political side, the Captain America side, and especially some of the supporting character side, kind of gets sidelined in this movie. So that's really another one of my big issues when it comes to the film. And it's not really something I'm hating the movie on for. I really am not. It's just some of the biggest criticisms I have to take into it. I have to be honest when I'm talking about this movie. All honestly, the villain in this is pretty generic too. Look, the fact that you have Tim Blake Nelson coming back and he's the one who's conducting this extreme mastermind plan, I'm like, you could have done a lot more with this. And like I said, the issue, if this was longer to really give us an understanding, but it's just, I get the motivation. It's just the way this is done is just pretty whatever. And I'm like, you could have definitely fixed this with a longer pacing and such. Now, at the end of the day, it may sound like I'm criticizing this movie as much and I just hate it. I really don't. Did I enjoy this movie? Yes, I enjoyed it as another MCU entry. I do accept this as part of the Captain America franchise, and I'm willing to see what more they can do with Sam Wilson as our new Captain America. And I hope this at least makes a decent enough profit here. But this is kind of the same issues that the MCU has been plagued with since the pandemic. You have to stop the studio interference crap, and you have to just let a story like this marinate a lot more for it to really entertain and really find its footing. Had you have done this with the Marvels and kept that original runtime, and Multiverse of Madness kept that original runtime, and Thor 4, and control some of Taika Waititi's worst tendencies in terms of the comedy, and just go for a lot more of the serious stuff they were trying to do in that movie, and had you have kept this movie at least 2 hours or something, or made this at least 2 hours and 21 minutes or something, I feel like this would have garnered a much more different reaction. I don't hate this movie by any means necessary. I do enjoy the movie. I think the action is good. I like Anthony Mackie. I like Harrison Ford. It was great seeing Liv Tyler back. Some of the supporting cast was pretty good. It's competently directed, and it is an entertaining watch I would recommend in theaters. But if you are someone who's thinking the MCU is kind of falling, and if you're someone who's waiting for the MCU to get back on track once again, just like Deadpool 3, which I still have yet to review, this ain't gonna be the one to do it, but don't give up. on the MCU. The MCU has had its good times and its bad times, and part of being an MCU fan is that you're gonna have to go through some extreme rough patches just to get back to the good old days. But I did overall enjoy this movie for what it is. It's not one of my favorites of the MCU. It is the lower tier MCU, but did I enjoy it for what we got? Yes, I did enjoy it for what we got. It could have been better in a lot of areas, but considering the trouble production and the reshoots and restructuring that is going, you could have done a hell of a lot worse. So the fact that I'm saying this is middle of the road and adequate and watchable at best is a compliment. But it with the fourth Captain America movie and for the first movie with Sam Wilson, this should have been more than just watchable and adequate. This should have been great. But I did enjoy this movie to a certain extent, and I will have no problems watching it again. And who knows, maybe the next one can do better.
Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay Epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.